You're listening to Moment of Truth, a weekly challenge from the front lines of faith, as heard on Courageous Christianity with Richard Mendelow, a radio show and podcast about real faith for the real world.
Today, our Moment of Truth comes from Mark chapter 3, verse 25, which says, "And if a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand." In the 1930s, in the same way Hitler used the Jews as scapegoats for all of Germany's problems after World War I, people today use the Jews as scapegoats and political levers. For example, on October 7th, 2023, Israel was invaded by rapists and murderers. 1,200 men, women, and children were murdered, raped, and burned by the same terror group that had terrorized the Palestinian people since 2005 when they won election to power and then did away with elections. Although they killed and oppressed their own people, just like the current oppressive regime in control of Iran does, people somehow blame Israel for being attacked. It makes no sense, right? Every time you see one of these Palestine rallies, I want you to ask yourself a question. If those protesters truly cared about the people of Palestine, would they not want Hamas to be destroyed? And if we truly care about the people of Iran, do we not want the U.S. and Israel to destroy that murderous regime which slaughters its own people? And what about Israel's right to self-defense? Iran threatens to wipe Israel off the face of the earth once a day and then acts on those threats each day by funding terrorist groups around the world. Can Israel not defend itself? And yet, as nonsensical as it is, people blame Israel. One minute they say President Trump is a narcissist tyrant who can't be controlled, and the next minute they say that he's controlled by Israel. Which is it? Can he be controlled or not? And if he can't be controlled, how is Israel controlling him? This is how these people think, or rather don't think. With respect to the present situation in the Middle East, is it better that a rogue terrorist nation be allowed to have nuclear weapons? Is that yet another burden we will hand to our children as we pursue our own comfort at all costs? My point is that the protests, the disunity, and the political theater are all lies based not on concern for Palestinians, Iranians, or any other people. Plain and simple, they're attacks on Jews, Israel, and anyone who supports Jews and Israel. They're inspired by the media. They're commonplace on college campuses, in state and federal legislatures, and on our streets, and they're idiotic. The truth is this: Jews have been attacked since day one because God said they're His chosen people and the world hates God. John chapter 15, verses 18 through 21 put it this way, as Jesus, who is God, speaks to the apostles who were all Jews. "If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. If you belonged to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you." God chose Israel out of the world, and now a world that hates God hates Jewish people, people who practice the Jewish religion, the nation-state of Israel and its government, and anyone who supports them. The question is, will you do the same? Will you support the belief that the part of the Bible which says that the Jews are God's chosen people is wrong? Will you disparage the family into which you have been adopted by Christ, worshiping the Father on Sunday and dishonoring Him Monday through Saturday as you treat the original children of His family with disdain? Or will you defend the house of God from the attacks of a godless world by standing with your older brothers and sisters? I will admit that I've taken today's Moment of Truth verse slightly out of context. when Mark chapter 3, verse 25 recounts Jesus saying, "And if a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand," he was responding to people saying that only a demon could cure demonic spirits. And on June 16, 1858, in Springfield, Illinois, when Abraham Lincoln gave his House Divided speech, which I'm sure drew from this verse, he too took it slightly out of context as he warned that the U.S. could not endure permanently as a nation that allowed slavery in half of it and outlawed slavery in the other half. The point remains, unity is required to stand against the enemy. In the context of this conversation, what I hope you will hear is that anti-Semitism is an abomination and the work of persistent ignorance. It's taught by idiots to fools, and as such, it can be untaught by those who honor God, and it's critical that we do that. For the Judeo-Christian house of God to endure the attacks of the godless, and for our nation to long endure, Christians and Jews cannot afford to fall for the lies of the devil's dupes. Jews must stop voting for the liberals who hate them. They must hold fast to what God says is true and not their own humanistic notions. And Christians must do the same, standing with Jews against a world that hates God and anything and anyone that God values. We cannot allow the house of God to be divided. So much has been sacrificed by so many so that we're able to live free in this nation under God. It is up to us to do so with intention and resolve. And that's courageous Christianity.
This has been your Moment of Truth. To hear the full conversation, visit courageouschristianity.today/listen. Or search Courageous Christianity with Richard Mendelow wherever you get your podcasts.